All right, here we have a article review, The Metal Mill by James. Let's go ahead and get into this. Looks like, okay. And we'll start a sprint. There we go. The Metal Mill is found in segment 8 of Zone 3. All right. The metal mill has two purposes. First, to recycle all metals that are put into a variety of the recycling collection points of Bird and Castor, and to process them in useful items for other industry, such as making sheets of steel for the rolling stock factory. Secondly, is to produce items such as making rails for the rail industry. All right. Um, let's just read through it. The metals to be recycled are washed and melted down and turned into an ingot weighing 3.5 kilograms. It is the job uh, of the metal roller, probably lowercase that, job of the metal roller technician to process the ingot further. Materials such as sheeting or square or round rods. Missing some punctuation in there, which are then either used in further production or sold at the warehouse. For metals that are imported, they are more likely to come in 1 kilogram ingots. Recycled materials are heavier at 3.5 kilograms. This is the case except for gold and silver, where the imports are at 100 grams for gold and 500 grams for silver. Okay. For cold worked metals that can be worked cold and may need to be annealed to be worked further. For aluminum, it is extruded into parts and excess metal is then remelted. Rails. Hot work metals are kept hot to be worked. Steel, for example, is formed through rollers to get the steel to the right dimension. This also has the added advantage of lengthening the steel. Next, the steel is reheated, cut down to shorter lengths, and passed through rollers to give the rail its distinctive T shape. The end of the rail is cut to square off the rail. The rail is then passed through two forming rollers to ensure that the rail is perfectly square and runs true. Sheeting. For sheeting, for sheets of metal, regardless of whether it is hot or cold worked, is put between two rollers until it is at the right thickness. It is then cut to the right size. The excess is then remelted down. Metal sheeting may go down other process, such as being galvanized and cut into circles to be made into cans, or alternatively, the sheet metal can be sold at warehouses. Okay, so that is the content of the article. So let's get into some of the I'm going to try something different. I am going to I'm going to open Grammarly, and I'm just going to put this into the Grammarly document. Just okay, and this is some of the things that we can, one of the advantages of having a checker like this is that then you can be able to go through and be able to determine some of those issues um, that would be common, which should be reviewed before setting it out for review. And that's one thing that I'm doing myself in my own article. As you can see here, I have 174 errors that I'm going through and trying to correct. And so things like uh, accept all six. All right. And then, yeah, the use of commas would be important. Like first, comma. Okay, you do the word useful is often overused. Okay, rephrase the sentence. Um, instead of saying sheets of steel, you could just say steel sheets, a little bit shorter. Items, a commonly used word, again, more commas. Let's see. Okay, okay, so this is the second time where you said it's the it's the now, it's the noun of the subject, where they're asking here to put the subject of the sentence first. So it's the job of the metal roller technician. The metal roller technician's job, and that's one thing that you can, like in Spanish, I've been studying that they don't have the possessive s, the apostrophe s, to indicate uh, possession. So everything is always being said like is here the job of the metal roller technician. That's just how they do it. In English, it is more clear if you just use the possessive s and switch the things around. Okay. Further. Okay, that are for metal. Like, okay, so metals that are imported, you could say the imported metals. That word, so that's some passive voice that you can get rid of. Uh, to be annealed, again, uh, passive voice. Okay, so I do have this set as American, where you have this spelling as in British English, so you can ignore that. Comma splicing. Two independent clauses improperly joined with a comma. Consider correcting the comma splice. Or, yeah, for aluminum, it is extruded into parts. You can just go period. The excess metal is then removed. So that's what they mean. The two clauses can be independent from each other as separate sentences. However, if you want them to remain joined more tightly, is where you can use the semicolon. Okay. More passive voice, passive voice, passive voice. Okay, using the word right a lot. To the correct dimensions. Yeah, Grammarly doesn't like the word this as a beginning of the sentence because it's unsure of what this is referring to. And I do agree to that to an extent for first sentences within a paragraph. I'm more forgiving of that for sentences later in the paragraph if you follow the rule of one topic per paragraph, so that the pronouns within the paragraph are clearly indicating the topic or the subject of the entire paragraph. So that would be a choice. Okay, more add commas. Rail. Well, you can't really change rail because that's what it is. Um, passive voice. Yeah, you can't change. You can't just. Okay. The rail is then passed. Yeah. Rail. Insert punctuation. Yeah. So here you just need to go through and make sure that you have um, either change it to the if go and identify the independent clauses that you may have together, or because they become run-on sentences, and either split them up in sentences or put a semicolon in them if you really want them to be combined together. Again, passive. Okay, passive. Adding a comma. Again, okay, galvanized. Again, the British versus American. Or alternatively. And see, that's an interesting. The word or and the word alternatively both mean the same thing. So having them together um, is redundant. Okay. And again, another passive voice because we don't know who is doing the selling. So the sheet metal can be sold at warehouses by zombies. If you can put the word by zombies at the end of a sentence or end of a phrase, then um, it would be considered a passive sentence. And one thing that I've been learning about my own writing is that I was going through and I was doing the by zombies test at the end of the sentence, but my sentence was still a passive sentence because the passive clause was in the beginning of the sentence, hidden by other phrases that had been extended on. So that is also a challenge that we have with passive voice, is to find it even if it is hidden within a within a thing. Okay? So hopefully that has given you some ideas to look through. I do like Grammarly. I am not paid by them. I pay them. And so, but going through a check like this uh, before going and asking reviews will be able to allow people to focus more on the content of the material being presented as opposed to the presentation of the material. All right. I do hope that works, and best of luck with the article.